If you were no longer affected by the judgment of others and you stopped judging yourself, would you make different choices? Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here's the host of Inspired Choices Radio Show, Possibilities Coach, Christine McIver.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm still getting used to my new man speaking to me in that new commercial. Welcome, everyone, to the Inspired Choices Radio Show. I am your host, Christine McIver, and tonight I have a wonderful guest with me, and we are going to dive deep into a topic that's really often up in people's world at the beginning of the year or some big change in their life. And it's also really, I'm feeling it like being pulled right now in the world with a lot of people. So I actually have Julie Tuton with me tonight, and we're going to be talking about holding back, holding on, and finally committing. So I would love to be your possibilities coach. Working together, we will co-create the living and loving you desire with all the possibilities available in the universe. I am an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator, a bars facilitator, a possibilities coach, an energy healer, radio show host, producer, and the owner of this wonderful network, Inspired Choices Network. And I do a lot of different things, and one of the things that I do is working one-on-one or in groups. I have a lot of different events that are coming up, and I'll be telling you a little bit about that. One of the programs that I've designed that I love to work with people on is a program called Divorce with Dignity. And this program is all about changing something that's not working for you in a relationship, but doing it from a place of honoring you and your partner. If you're interested in that, or you know somebody that could definitely use that support without the great big lawyer price, please feel free to contact me at Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. So tonight, are you holding back, holding on, or finally ready to commit to your life? Are you sitting on the fence? Is that fence comfortable, or is the journey a joyful ride? Tonight, Julie Tuton and I are going to provoke you into the commitments you may be avoiding. Julie is a certified facilitator, an energy therapist, artist, and designer. Coming from Boston, Julie Tuton has an East Coast edge, softened by over 25 years of living in San Francisco Bay Area. She has a razor-sharp awareness that allows her to cut through to the core of your issues with the kindness and caring you have always wished but never found. She lives in the space of non-judgment, allowing her to be very real and present with you, applying her awareness and practical tools to move through changes and commit to living her true life. She comes from a place of vulnerability, compassion, and knowing that if she could step through such transitions with ease, she can facilitate others as well. As a healer, artist, jewelry designer, Julie believes in enhancing your health and natural beauty by choosing jewelry that resonates with your body. She loves creating custom pieces using her magic and intuitive ability to complement your uniqueness. Her jewels are an addition to you, not to overpower or hide you, but to bring out your natural glow and beauty, contribute yummy energy, and create a comfortable elegant, oh my goodness, I think I need to drink a little bit right now, elegant. Travels around the world speaking to groups, facilitating individuals, couples, and classes, and creates beauty wherever she goes. She loves empowering people to create possibilities and watch with wonder at how quickly their lives change. You can connect with Julie at julietuttonenergy.com. That's Tuton, or julietutton.com. Welcome to the show, Julie.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Really
I'm happy to be here.
I'm loving the whole your bio about how you tap in with your intuitiveness to create jewelry for people. That is so unique. I love it.
Well, you know what's really interesting is I've always done that, but until I started facilitating these access tools, I didn't have words for what I did. So it's really just putting words to what I've always done all along. And how cool is that?
That is very, very cool. So, Julie, tonight we're going to be talking about a subject I know you enjoy talking about. In fact, you have a Facebook page about committing to your life, correct?
I do.
I know a little bit more about you. Julie, let's talk about what it is. What is this holding back and holding on? And you know, I'm sure that we're going to dig deep into this, and then finally we'll get to the committing to your life. But what is it that you're seeing with people and in the individuals that you're working with that are holding back or holding on? Where is that coming from, and how are you seeing that actualize with people?
It's a really good question. I see it and I feel it, and because I was so aware of it, I used to apply that to my life so much and could feel myself holding back and holding on. So I started really applying these tools in this area, and every time I committed more and more to what I truly wanted as my living, I got freer and freer, and then I could really see a difference between where I was and what was possible, and where other people are living kind of stuck and not sure how to move forward, or not sure that they truly want to commit to their lives. And so you're like in this holding pattern of not enough change. So at the beginning of this year, it really struck me when I was walking in the redwoods near my neighborhood, and how much stress and struggle people go through during the holidays. And I was just standing next to these beautiful redwood trees that just reach for the sky, and the energy of them was they don't hold back at all. They just keep going and going and going. If there's rain or not, if there's sunshine or not, it's like they don't let anything else get in their way. They are themselves. And this energy it's just amazing. So I started looking at the difference of that, and where when I'm choosing something that I'd really like to do, it is that same energy of just reaching and expanding. And when I get stuck or stop myself, it's this resistance to that. And I find that that's in a lot of people all over the place. And so I've developed this class that helps move people through letting go of that, and through gaining clarity on what it is they'd actually like to be living. Because, you know, a lot of times you're just doing what you think you're supposed to be doing, or doing what everybody else is requiring of you. So, yeah, I'm really exploring this area because it works for me. And it includes a whole lot of other people, too.
So Julie, where are you finding people are actually holding back and holding on in their lives? Like, is it all the areas of their lives, or is there some particular areas that are more prominent? Well, it's different for everyone. You know, everyone has places where there's ease in their life, and that's where they're being conscious and not in their head, and they're just going with the flow. And then there's places where we have a whole bunch of points of view and a whole bunch of judgments or beliefs that keep us from being that and having that freedom. So It's different for everyone. Yeah. It's different for everyone. Okay. Where has it been? You referred to that this was something that you did in your life. Where was it for you that you were actually holding back in? Oh, my gosh. So many places. I mean, in my relationship, in expressing my creativity, in really committing to being a jewelry designer and artist. These are things that, you know, you can take little steps toward, but there's a different energy to it when you're really fully in it, like jumping in instead of just sticking your toes in the water. And when it's something that you want to do, but you're only sticking your toes in the water, you're only going to have a marginal result. So
it really does take, just jumping in, and then things show up, and your life exponentializes. But you have to be willing to let go of what's comfortable and let go of the possibility of failing or succeeding and see what shows up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So a lot of us have desires, right? Like, I want to do this, or I want to have this, or I want to be here, or I want to do that. And then we're holding back. We're not fully stepping into it. What are some of the main reasons that people, and I know there's probably many of them, but let's just talk about a few of them of what it is that has people choose that. What are those barriers to them committing?
Well, I think, first of all, we've never been acknowledged for what we be or who we be. And it most likely we've been invalidated for it. So we're already contracted, and we're already coming from a place of I'm wrong, or it's wrong to be me. So we look outward to try to find how we're supposed to be in the world, which is not truly being ourselves. It's a pretense, and it's, it's more cognitive
fitting in.
Trying to, yeah.
Right.
So I think that's, first of all, where we get screwed over. And then we're so aware of other people's judgments that we continue to shrink away from what we'd like. And then we think, well, what I'd really like doesn't matter, and it's stupid, or it's not good enough. Like for me, I always wanted to be an artist ever since I was a little kid. And all that I would hear was, why do you want to be a starving artist? You'll never make any money at that. Why don't you go work in a bank? It's like, oh, but that doesn't sound like fun, So my struggle was always, how can I be me and express what comes so naturally easy to me and have it not be wrong, and have people receive it and not judge it.
Right. It's interesting, as soon as you said that, the thing that I always wanted to do was to be in business. I didn't know what I wanted to do in business, but I always wanted to be in business. And I could hear, like you said, starving artist, right? And I have a very dear friend who's an artist, and that song plays in her head a ton. And for me, being in business, it was, well, it's really hard to be in your own business. And, most businesses don't make it. Less than 50% that even start don't make it through the first year. And then when I started my own business, it's like, oh, you've made it through the first year. You're so lucky, right? And it's this doom and gloom. Why are we so addicted to dooming and glooming all over everybody's desires? And you know what I mean? I know that's probably not very good English, but I'm a little tired at the end of this day, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, some people do that. I've never done that, and you've probably never done that. We just listen to it, and we either align and agree with it, or we resist and react to it. And either way, we're kind of stuck by it instead of just going, well, what would I like to create, and am I willing to do it anyway?
Yeah, we do. I didn't always. I certainly thought I should, shooting all over myself. I should do it this way, or I should listen to everybody else. They know more than me because they're obviously happy and successful, and I'm not. Little did I know that they were operating under the same pretense of doing it the way everybody else thought they should do it. And it's just really interesting how so many of us, I think it actually takes us kind of dancing through our lives for a little while before we go, you know what? I'm not happy, and I'm gonna start doing it my way. But then that after we make that choice, then we start to deal with some of the other maybe more internal thoughts and so on that actually has us, kind of step in and step out and step in and step out. and kind of like what we referred to in the write-up about being on the fence, right? So
right.
It's definitely an area we've got lots more to talk about. And when we get back, Julie has got a surprise for all of our listeners. So we're going to get into that when we get back, and so much more. So you are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show here on Inspired Choices Network with myself, Christine McIver, and my guest tonight, Julie Tuton. When we get back, we're going to dive deeper into committing to your life. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago, I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Yes, tonight we are talking with Julie Tuton. I was mispronouncing that. I apologize, Julie. And tonight we are talking about committing. Really stepping in and committing to your life. Now, before we dive back into the conversation, and by the way, if anyone has any questions, you can join us in the chat room on the Inspired Choices Network website page, or you can call in and you can ask us a question as well. But before we get into the rest of the show, Julie, I know that you have some wonderful promotion gifts for our listeners tonight. Would you like to share with them what you're offering them all?
Okay, Christine. Sure. The first thing that I wanted to offer was the first step of a Committing to Your Life series that I did at the end of last year. It was a 10-step series, and it was an amazing set of Zoom telecalls. So the first one is called When Playing Small No Longer Works for You. And we did a whole bunch of clearings and creation clearings around getting out of playing small and stepping more into being your true self. And then I also wanted to offer for the first 3 people that would like to choose it a super discount of a 30-minute phone or Skype session with me for $90. And that is normally a $175 value.
Wonderful.
So there you go.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much. I love when people get spoiled when I have guests on the radio, so thank you so much. That sounds fabulous. So how do they get the free recording? Do they just email you, Julie?
Yes, they can email me and say that they were on the radio show or they heard the radio show, and I'll be happy to send them a link to the call, and the first 3 people who email me and mention that they'd like the phone session, I will honor that.
Fabulous. And what is your email address?
It is julietoutonenergy@gmail.com.
energy@gmail.com. Wonderful. Okay, excellent. So everybody, you can start emailing her right now before the show's even over so you can get a hold of those amazing opportunities. Thank you so much, Julie. So before we went to the show, we were talking about what is holding people back and what held you back, and I talked a little bit about what held me back. And in your program, the Committing to Your Life series, what are some of the tools that you have started to, without giving the whole series away, of course, what are some of the tools that you started to work with people to help them to move forward and get past these blocks to be able to commit to their lives?
Well, in the very beginning, we're doing verbal clearings, and I would say in every class that I teach, I really impress upon them the tool of heavy and light. And when something is heavy or contracted feeling for you, that's not true for you. And when it's light and expansive or makes you giggle, it is true for you. And to really get people to start looking at the energy of what it is that they're choosing so that they can see how they're creating what they're creating, so that they can start creating more of the light, fun, giggly stuff in their future.
Right.
So that's usually the first one.
How do you find, Julie, with the people that you work with, how do you find they are at really, quote unquote, getting the light and heavy tool? Do you find that people get it very quickly, or do you notice that it takes people some practice and some work before they're able to, really tap into that?
Yeah, exactly. Most people, it does take practice. And I would say for myself, probably nobody's as slow as me, because you learn these things and it's an intellectual exercise until you start to experience it. And you may not catch it until you've done enough work to become present enough to catch it. And for me, I remember probably 3 years after I started taking these classes and even teaching the Access classes, I was in my head about something, and I was feeling really heavy and contracted, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait a second. That's heavy. I'm lying to myself here. And it just really, that's what opened the door for me. Even though I knew it intellectually, while I was going through it, I didn't always catch myself. So it takes practice. It's like going to the gym and building a muscle. And we're building the muscle of awareness. And, some people are more aware than others. Some people, it's easier than others. And it doesn't really matter. It's like, do whatever it takes for you to practice for you so that you get it for yourself whenever you get it,
Yeah, totally. I've been doing Access, and I was introduced to that tool about 4 years ago. And I find, like yourself, I find like all of a sudden, I'll go, wait a second. I totally forgot about that. Or I'll have a dear friend, look at me, and I'll be like, about whatever's going on. And they'll look at me and they'll go, Christine, is that light or heavy? And I'll be like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me again? Yeah. And like you say, you really have to get into it and practice it and practice it and practice it, and to consciously be choosing it until you're not having to think about it. And it does eventually start to come. So, Julie, what would you say is the next thing that is important for people to start to step into to really claim their life and commit to what it is that they desire?
Well, it's probably becoming aware of how much you are aware of other people's realities and how much you are pulled into that, and learning to put your attention on what it is that you would like to create. So paying more attention to you, adding you into the computation of your life and your choices.
What are you finding right now, Julie, around people's awareness of other people's realities? I know personally, I've had clients and colleagues who have said to me, like, it's incredibly intense right now. We're really picking up a lot of what's going on in the world, and it's bringing some people to their knees. Are you watching that happen around people? Yeah.
Yep. And that's why it's just so important to have tools and things that you know that lighten up your world, whether it's exercising or yoga or going into nature or having an access bars session, and also using the tool, is this mine, someone else's, or something else, for every thought, feeling, and emotion, and just really instilling those questions, and that helps lighten it up.
Right.
And then I also would use that in conjunction with expanding and doing expanding exercises.
Okay, say more about that.
That also lightens it up. Yeah. So, if you're in a closet and there's a mosquito in there, all you can hear is that little buzzing thing, and you're going to get a bite, right?
Yeah.
So, when you're all contracted and small and other things seem really big, the best thing you can do is expand out. And so I teach expanding exercises of how you can expand your being and your awareness beyond what you're at the effect of, beyond the earth, into, the planets and the universes, so that anything that's coming into your awareness becomes really small. It's like all of a sudden you're in a football field with a mosquito and, who cares? It's just a little tiny thing that you probably won't notice as much. So recognizing that you are an infinite being and you can expand through space and just become huge so that any issue becomes diminished in your presence.
Yeah, it's tough though, right? When we're in the midst of the intensity of our reality, or we just feel inundated by everything. It's sometimes really tough to think about these things and to step into using those tools.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's why, for me, 14 years ago when I first started doing this work, I set up a Wednesday bars trade. And every single Wednesday, I have hosted bars trades in my area. As long as I'm home, it's happening. So I know that every week I'm doing at least that allows me to expand and to drop off a lot of the things that would creep up on me. So there's that, and there's talking with other facilitators or taking other classes that continually give me the awareness that I'm an infinite being, that I have choice, and that I am not stuck at the effect of the things around me.
That's funny. I do a trade every Tuesday night, and same. If I'm not home, I don't. But of course, if I am, I certainly try to, because I know the contribution it can be to just easing things off.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, just stepping away and stepping outside and breathing sometimes is one of the greatest contributions I can do, especially working from home and working with people nonstop all day long. So it's fabulous. So we're about to go to our second break of the night, Julie. When we get back, let's dive a little bit deeper into what you're creating in the world and what contribution you see that we can all be to other people who aren't committing to their lives, and maybe even on a global level. Okay? So we are listening to Julie Tuton tonight on the Inspired Choices radio show here on Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned. We will be right back after this short commercial break.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning in to Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. So tonight we are talking about holding on or committing. What are you doing in your life? And I have a wonderful guest here with me tonight, Julie Tuton. And Julie has a program all about stepping in and committing to your life. So before we went for break, Julie, I was asking if there was anything, that you would suggest that we could be doing to be creating, giving a greater contribution to people in the world that are struggling with committing to their lives.
Mhm. Yeah. It's so funny because what I'm really realizing is everything that commercial was just talking about, Dr. Dane and being you and how that changes the world. I just completed a 4-day foundation class, and the people in the class were saying, you are just such an inspiration, and there's like no walls or barriers, and when you speak it's just so clear and concise, and it feels so authentic to who you are. And I realized how much work it actually took to become this, but it was actually a whole lot more work to not be this way. We were this as children. So if you can, just go back into your awareness of who you were and who you be as a child, and the things that you loved that maybe nobody ever acknowledged, but were truly you, and you allowed that stuff to percolate through your life now. And just choose it, regardless if anybody else agrees or not. That's how it works, and somehow being willing to choose that gives other people permission to be that as well. It's a very gentle energy. It's not forcing. It's not, you don't have to push to be you. There's no proving that you're you. You just are. And it's so easy. It's annoying that we don't do it sooner.
Yes, we are cute sometimes, aren't we? What inspires you, Julie?
Oh my gosh, so many things. so many things. Nature, like the redwoods, like I was saying, or the ocean, things that invite you to just be you. And even going to access classes and being around other people who are willing to be themselves allows you to step into more of you. So those kinds of things inspire me a lot. Also, just beautiful things in the world, paintings and architecture and antiques and gold and jewels, all of those things inspire me as well. What inspires you?
What inspires me is people willing to bring forth the soft, the hard, the uncomfortable spaces within themselves and really take the mask off, take the worry off about what it is someone else maybe think about you or what it is that someone may say about you, and be willing to speak from what it is that is dying to scream outside of you. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we have these things inside of us that we want to say. We want to scream from the mountaintops. And it's whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, we all have knowings. And it's when someone is willing to step into 5% or 100% of that, that inspires me. When someone's willing to take a step, that inspires me. Because for me, that when they're choosing, and this is kind of what you were referring to, when they're choosing to do something that I can see was a very conscious, I have to choose this, that inspires me that I can make another step. I can take another step. And it doesn't matter what it's about, right? I could cry at commercials because I can see where some people, or it may not be the people in the commercials, but I can imagine people actually being that in their lives. And it's just like, oh my gosh, there are people in the world that are doing this. And that inspires me. And I know a lot of us talk about choosing these really huge things to inspire other people. And they don't have to be gargantuous. They don't have to be, building a school in another country. They could literally be being 5% kinder to themselves than they were yesterday. And that's what inspires me. So thank you for asking that question. When I'm interviewing other people, I don't think about that. So what are some of the things that you'd like people to know about committing to their lives and about what they can do to really create what it is they desire?
Sure. Well, one thing is to know that it's not just one choice. It's a continual choosing and choosing and choosing. So it's like a walk or a hike or a journey, and you don't have to do it all in one day. And wherever you are, and even if you take steps in a different direction, it's all part of your journey. So don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. Because if you start to get the sense of where your target is, which direction you want to go, it doesn't have to be a straight line. It can be all squiggly and you can go all over the place. And as you're learning how to follow the energy of what is light and what is expansive, sometimes I get that people don't ask enough questions for something that's actually really light and expansive to come into their awareness. They're like, this or that. Well, and it doesn't really feel that different between the two. But if you continue to ask, more possibilities show up. And it's like, as you ask questions, you're creating exponential, deeper, bigger possibilities that as you choose them will actually create a lightness that you cannot avoid. Like it's so obvious. And then you go, oh, that's light. You know? That's light. Oh, no wonder. I've been
talking about.
I've been choosing from like the McDonald's menu, but like there are other menus out there that are more in my taste, you know?
Yeah.
So I would say it's a continual journey. And the more, like, yes, start, but the deeper and deeper you go into it, the easier and lighter things get. On one of the telecalls, I can't remember which one in the series, I talked about how as you begin the journey, it's sort of like sticking your tippy toes in the edge of the water. And as you take a step further and further, you get deeper and deeper in the water, and then you're like floating, just like it's easier for your body to float when you're more in the water. Your questions and your choices and your possibilities float out and exponentialize more as you continue that journey committing to your life or your living.
I love that analogy. I love that picture. And it's true. The more it does, as you take another step and you take another step, it does get easier.
It does get easier.
And you know, one of the things that, and you tell me if I'm right or not, one of the things that I know sometimes is committing to your life. Sometimes it means taking a break too from pushing yourself. You know, sometimes it's just sitting back and breathing and acknowledging how far you've actually come in that commitment. And you know, it's nurturing those moments within you where you're keep pushing yourself and keep, you know, you need to be better and all that. You know, there's so much judgment wrapped up, or there can be so much wrapped up in our committing to ourselves, right? So
exactly.
Just taking that breath and stepping back and being, just acknowledging that, you know what, you are doing it. You are doing it. Even if it doesn't look like Bob's committing to his life next door or Susie or, you know, what you're doing in your life, you know, if you're taking a step forward, that's fantastic.
Yep. Absolutely. And paying more attention to you and what it feels like without comparing yourself at all to anybody else, because you are a completely different individual than anybody else on the planet. So there is no way to compare you. It's really
there
just,
isn't.
am I happy with me?
Right. And it's, you know, we live in a very competitive, very global community where we're seeing what everyone is doing everywhere. And it can be a challenge. It can be a really big challenge to not go into the comparing. You know, one of the things when I'm working with my clients is I actually, you know, kind of take a screenshot of where they're at in their life today. And then you know, after we've been working together for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we look at that again and really look at, okay, look where you were 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, because a lot of people, we can't see our own progress.
Right.
And you know, we're always looking forward to I still got to get there, I got to get there, but we don't turn around and look at how far we have come. And I know for myself, when I do that, it reinvigorates me. And I've seen the same with clients. Have you noticed that as well? Is that something that you utilize as well, Julie?
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. And acknowledging where you are. And you know, for me, I know myself, and relaxing for a little bit is nice, but I know I'm never just going to stop and be done and that's enough. Like, I'm always going to push myself. I'm always going to be like, what else is there? What else is possible? What else, you know, how else can I create a bigger impact? But it's very, very important to acknowledge how far you have come and what you have created and how much easier it actually is than it used to be. It's quite amazing. And it came up over the weekend because you forget you totally forget when you talk and pod and clear something. And my whole younger life, I was thought of as a very shy, introverted person, and now here I am, doing radio shows and speaking in front of groups of people, and I forgot that I was called a shrinking violet. I forgot that I couldn't speak up for myself, and I never got my lunch as a kid because they wrote my name down wrong. I forgot all this silly things. And then somebody said, oh, yeah, I used to be shy. And it's like, oh, that's right, so was I. And nobody can believe it because there seems to be an ease to be able to speak with people, It's funny.
Thank goodness that changed.
Right. Apparently I have a lot to say.
Well, I find that when people start to become very comfortable with who they are willing to start bringing forth what they know. And I thank goodness because, it doesn't matter how old you are. We all have a knowing that no one else has. And, I love talking to younger people and elderly people because to me they're both in a really cool space of, I got nothing to lose. It's the middle ground where we're all caught up in our I got to get it right space.
Exactly.
So listen, we are going to go for our last break of the show, and when we get back, we're going to wrap things up with Julie Tuton. You're listening to Inspired Choices radio show here on the Inspired Choices Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on the past or what others think. What would our lives be like if we made choices based on what we desire in this moment? By tuning into Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver, you'll receive tools and inspiration you can use to do just that. You are an infinite being with infinite choices. Are you ready to create the life and living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
What if you really do change molecules by your interaction with them? What if the change you've been looking for is right before your eyes? What if the uncomfortableness that comes with difference could be fun? What if the closed-minded people of the world no longer determined our world? What if gratitude trumps judgment every time? What if your kindness healed the world? What if the earth is asking for your help? And what if you had the resources to give it? This is your invitation to step into something that Einstein, Marie Curie, Picasso, Da Vinci, Shakespeare, Aristotle all knew to be true. Hi, my name is Dane here. 13 years ago I started to truly ask questions. Actually, I started to be the question, and everything changed for me. What if there are no dumb questions? Or any question too large? What if you being you are the gift and the change this world requires? Is now the time? For more questions to create a change in your world, sign up for a free video series at beingyouclass.com. My gift to you, beingyouclass.com.
This is Inspired Choices radio show with Possibilities Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, call in the U.S. 815-880-8255. In Canada, 613-800-8736, or Skype us at Inspired Choices Network. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to the Inspired Choices radio show with myself, Christine McIver, and I have a guest with me tonight, Julie Tuton, and we are talking about committing to your life. And before we jump back into the program, I would just like to invite people to a really amazing program that I'm co-creating with a very dear friend and a colleague here on the radio station and one of my amazing producers, Rhonda Burns. We are actually doing a money class that is free to everyone who would like to join, and it is called Pleasuring Money. And we are going to be doing an intro call next Tuesday, February the 7th, and then we'll be starting a couple of weeks after that. And we do have a request if you would like to share that with other people to be able to join, we would be very grateful. And we'll have some other things along the way. But it's going to be such a fun class and really committing to changing anything in your reality regarding money. So how much fun can we have pleasuring money? Love to hear from everyone. You can find us all over the internet and listening to our shows. So Julie, before we sign off today, you can connect with Julie at julietoutonenergy.com or julietuton.com with your jewelry. And Julie also had a free gift, and we're actually going to put that right in the body of this replay. So if you're listening after the show, you can go to the Inspired Choices website and you can look for the show and you can get the information there. So Julie is actually giving away a free recording of Step 1 of Committing to Your Life series, When Playing Small No Longer Works for You. And also for the first 3 people, they can get a discount on her 30-minute phone or Skype session, which is normally $175 for only $90. That's a really generous offer. Thank you so much, Julie. So before we sign off today, Julie, tell me, what might show up for people who identify more easily with the negative side of things? What types of things happen when we don't commit to our lives?
Well, I know for me, it got more and more painful to live every day. And I'm not a kind of person who likes pain, so I wouldn't do that for too long. I wouldn't indulge in it for too long. So as I started choosing more of what I liked, I noticed that, life got better. I had more energy. So it's really looking at, are you ready to actually start enjoying your life and being happy? Because it's totally possible, and you know it even if you don't think you do, what committing to your living would be. It's just a matter of putting a little bit of energy in that direction instead of focusing on all the external stuff, all the judgment, and that's part of what I like facilitating with people. So I would like to mention that I have a free Zoom call coming up on February 20th. It's a Monday, and I'll put it on Facebook to just continue the conversation and see what does come up for people and start them on their way. Anybody who wants to join, you don't have to have any previous experience whatsoever.
Wonderful. That's fabulous. You know, I just absolutely love, Julie, that there's so many of us in the world, whether they're in Access or not, there's thousands upon thousands of people in the world that really desire to be a contribution to creating more joy. And, you know, if someone's out there and they're struggling, whether they have any idea what this Access thing is or not, please reach out to Julie. Please reach out to me. There are people everywhere that do desire to contribute to change what's not working, because one of the things that I absolutely know, and I know, Julie, you do as well, is that when each of us increase our joy, our pleasure, our happiness, it actually starts to permeate out to the rest of us. And it's, you know what, it's time. It's time that we change all of this.
Absolutely.
Well, Julie, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It has been a pleasure, and I'm so happy for everything that you're creating in the world. Truly, truly grateful, Julie, that we've had this opportunity to connect.
Thank you so much. And,
you're welcome.
What an inspiration. I love your show.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, that's it for us tonight. Remember, you can always make another choice. We'll see you back here next week for another wonderful night of conversation and possibilities. Have an amazing week. Bye for now.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by making the choices that bring you all that you desire.